Hello everyone, welcome back. Last time we covered the absolute worst songs Monstercat has to offer in 2022, and now we take a look at the best songs Monstercat had to offer. Same rules as last time. Number 1, only 1 to 2 artists per song. Added in the 2 there because a certain artist would drive me insane if I didn't. No remixes or VIPs. So unfortunately, the From Here VIP and For Me VIP are not going to make it on this list, even if I do really like the songs. Also, here's your gameplay footage of me being hot garbage at Rocket League. I hope you get a few laughs. With that said, let's not waste any more time and get started with number 10. So it's often a current practice for producers to make remixes of other songs, and then decide to make an original song for it. I mean, Eptic did that with his VIP remix, as did Kygo with his Festival ID, so it's not out of the ordinary that someone on Monstercat would have done it at some point. Case in point... Everybody! Aesora didn't have the best year in 2022. A lot of his material felt average with the songs like Echoes or Level. That said, this was my favorite tune from him. What was originally a remix of Silent's Blue Shadows. Umbra is Aesora at his best, with a lot of variation of melodies in the drops, as well as the cracking snares adding some punch to the track. Combining it with Voicein's great vocal performance, and you have a phenomenal tune from Aesora. Hopefully Aesora can stick around on Monstercat. He's a great addition to have around. Number 9. Say what you will about the overabundance of new artists, you can't deny that at least a few of them have kept your interest. What, you want proof? It's amazing how Tynan can just make an appearance on Monstercat with one track, and everyone just seems to like it. I mean, Rockin' and Stay were great tracks due to the oddball and creative nature of the tracks, which seems entirely consistent with Tynan's style and appeal. And here's yet another song showcasing Tynan's creative style, this time with Bass House. The gurgling synths on the drop bring a sense of groove here, and there's some nice sound effects thrown in, like a steel drum and a vocal sample that sounds like Eminem during his glory days. So yeah, great track. I have no idea what Tynan will come up with next year, but I'll be looking forward to it. Nice work. Number 8. Usually when you think of best lists, you typically think of songs that are good across the board. However, I feel like there are some songs that I enjoy that might have a lot of issues, but I still like irregardless of the flaws. And honestly, after this duo came back after a really bad 2020 and an underwhelming 2021, I think they've earned this one. If you asked me what my thoughts on Arm & Hammer were in 2020, the response most likely would have been, wow, this duo is bad. Their Free World album contains some of the most generic and poorly mixed melodic dubstep I've heard in years. And not to mention working with Adventure Club to produce one of the most unlistenable dubstep tracks I have ever heard. Not even Haleen could save that one. So when I heard that Arm & Hammer was going to be on Monstercat, my expectations were rock bottom. Except they somehow came back with their Waiting for Love EP, and then they released this track. Now, let's get this out of the way. The mixing here still isn't good, and it's been a large problem with Arm & Hammer. Marika Martin's vocals are pushed to the front of the mix and sound pretty thin here, and it buries the electric guitar and percussion. However, the main reason it gets on here is the drop, which absolutely makes up for it. Showcasing Arm & Hammer and Nurko styles and meshing them well to create a stormy atmosphere that Nurko is best known for, along with Arm & Hammer's percussion and guitar flares. So yeah, great track. Congratulations, Arm & Hammer. You won me over. Number 7. While I do like Won't Make a Sound, let's be honest, this one is the better out of the two. guess Fairlane is similar to Tynan in the fact that he releases one single per year and the community loves it before moving on with other labels. Out Loud, it was in my top 10 best songs of last year, and with this single, he brought along Rival for this fusion of heavy and melodic dubstep. Philip Strand's vocals are a great highlight here, and the production is amazing, showcasing the heavier dubstep most likely coming from Rival, before getting to Fairlane's powerful melodic dubstep approach. And the cherry on top of the cake is the outro, where the soaring synths and balanced percussion create an absolutely epic atmosphere. If I were to describe the song, it's 2022's Awaken. Yeah, it's that good. Number 6. I talked last time on my worst list that in order to end up high on that list, you need to be an artist that I like and then disappoint me. However, that same rule applies to the best list. One way you can end up on this list is to be a producer that I either don't like or are indifferent towards, and then find some ways to surprise me. And that's exactly what this artist did. Francis Durrell, I largely didn't care for. His approach to melodic dubstep wasn't exactly great, often relying on a chippy lead to carry a lot of his work. Ember and Same Mistake were fine, but they didn't really impress me that much. And then Francis Durrell decides to release this, a synth pop tune with powerful vocals from Seisha and a drop that makes full use of the synth pop style, while adding in Francis Durrell's iconic leads. And honestly, the verse production is also good, adding in some gentle piano keys and echoing whoops of vocals, fully utilizing the atmosphere it's trying to create. So yeah, this is awesome. I really hope Francis Durrell sticks to more of this style, cause this has some potential down the road. Number 5. I usually have high expectations for a song when an artist in question states that a track they made was their favorite to work on. Now sometimes that isn't always the case, look at Heavenly Side by Millennium. However, there are certain times when that phrase usually lives towards those expectations. For example, at the beginning of the year, this artist said this was one of his favorite songs to make this year. And, well, I could see why. Many people would argue that Conroe is one of the artists that is actively keeping Instinct from imploding in on itself. The dude has made some decently produced house and indie pop songs that garner a lot of attention from the community and make Monstercat still sound like Monstercat. Level Days was a really good example of this, with singles like Therapy and Fighters receiving praise. And this single takes a bit of a different approach to Conroe's style, except leaning more towards the commercial progressive house approach similar to Vice Tone, except 100 times better in this case. The production is great with the pianos and the acoustic guitars, and the drop hits like a ton of bricks with the pianos, synths, and the electric guitars creating a full sound, as well as the percussion being nicely balanced and creating a tight groove. And while Conroe has done better as a vocalist, he's still great here, especially towards the end of the song. So yeah, Conroe had a really good year, and this is the best he had to offer. Check this out. Number 4. So you may have noticed a lot of these positions are pretty predictable. Most of these songs were my favorites for each respective month, or at the very least, very high on my monthly rankings. But there is that one chance of a certain song that I didn't rate too good to eventually grow on me. This is why I wanted to give you guys my official ranking on my community tab, because songs I might not like or care for might eventually grow on me, just like songs can quickly sour on me. I say this because I remember giving this song a 6 out of 10, but if there's one thing I got right in that video, it's for calling this. It's not bad per se, it's okay again, but it might grow on me in the future. Well, it happened. The song grew on me enough to place it this high on my list. It took some time to get used to Hello World's style, as it's definitely unique. I originally complained that this song sounded very clunky and slow, but honestly looking back, I don't know what I was talking about. Sure, the song's pretty slow at about 110 BPM. However, the pixelated sound design from Hello World makes the song great, and it's a prime example of Hello World at his best, creating a full sound to the drops as well. The minimalistic approach, I'd say, also helps the song too, as it conveys the empty feeling of the lyrics of having something or someone being too hard to move on from. So yeah, the song grew on me. Can we please keep Hello World on Monstercat? He would make a nice addition to the roster. Number 3. For those of you who have been watching my monthly rankings, probably knew which 3 songs were going to be close contenders. Believe me, these next 3 were very hard to pick, because each of them are still amazing tracks in their own right. It was pretty hard, but I did it. So let's start off with the lesser of the 3. No Man is the best debut on Monstercat this year, by a pretty large mile. With just 3 singles, he was able to win over many people in the community, and Out of the Dark was one of those singles. The sound design from No Mana is great here, with more minimalistic and atmospheric first drop with some mechanical percussion, and the second drop is where the 8-bit gritty and driven synths come into play, and it sounds epic. It makes complete sense why this is on Rocket League, and it's my favorite new tune there. Now only imagine if the rest of the songs they added were just as good. I heard No Mana is going to be releasing more singles this year, specifically on Monstercat. Let's hope they're just as good as this, cause this is awesome. Number 2. I mean, do I even need to introduce this next one? I never thought a collaboration with Grant and Ellis would work out as well as it did. I mean, their respective genres conflict a bit, with Grant being more future bass oriented and Ellis being more electro. But this worked out amazingly. Grant's vocals are really good here, as usual, but the production is the highlight of the track. The bass guitar that opens up the song, the tight tap of the snare during the hook, and the drop which combines Grant's vocal process leads with Ellis's fantastic French electro percussion. The song also gives off a moodier, darker, and sort of western vibe to the song. I certainly prefer this Dead Man Walking over the Zomboy version, and while I wish the song could be a bit longer, this is still an amazing tune, and a great addition to Monstercat. Can't wait to see what Grant and Ellis have in store for us next, even if it's not on Monstercat. Before we get to number 1, let's go through a quick honorable mentions. Madeira by Ivory and Dr. Ushu, a good rhythm tune that utilizes both Ivory and Dr. Ushu's styles, with the second half of the drop being a great highlight. Galactical by Tokyo Machine. The final drop is what gets it for me, but the rest of the song is a catchy Tokyo Machine tune, with some great 8-bit sound design. Without You by Offski. A different and more relaxed take to Offski's usual style elevates this song to be one of my favorites from him, with his usual plucky leads in the back of the song just enough to create a relaxing atmosphere, but not to the point where you have to search for them. Feel It Again by Eula. The Eula EP was great, and this was the track that stood out for me. The piano melody is bright and airy, and the production is balanced out to accommodate for the relaxed nature of the song. One of the best artists to debut on Monstercat this year. Funny Face by Leotrix. It's not my favorite Leotrix tune this year, but it's still a fun tune to listen to and showcases Leotrix's creativity. Shadowblade by Caster. The drum and bass drop is haunting, and it combines rock and psytrance elements to create a track we often don't hear. We Could Have It All by Punctual. My favorite track from Punctual's Maze EP that showcases a tropical house feel while still remaining like a Punctual track, with its nicely mixed house production. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if Punctual stuck around a bit longer despite their mainstream style. Don't Need You by Ramses B featuring Laura Brem. It's no longer my number 1 of February, but it's still a great classic melodic dubstep tune from Ramses B, a genre we don't hear from too much anymore. Ignore Them by Dusty Cloud, Cage, and Lex Blaze. A good debut from Dusty Cloud, showcasing Dusty Cloud's grittier basses and Cage's classic muted percussion. Right Through was a contender too, but I found this one to be better. Grit by Boss Fight. Second drop elevates this song from great to amazing, but the first and third drops are great too, with a tight and groovy bass house beat. Nice work. A Cookie from Space by Infected Mushroom and Bliss. A journey of a track that adds in Infected Mushroom's classic psytrance style along with their start to mid tempo. Great track. After Midnight by Slushy and Mackenzie Zoll. ELE may have sucked, but this was one of the songs, along with All I Need, that stood out for me, with Mackenzie Zoll's vocals being a real highlight, as well as some fun and bouncier melodic drops from Slushy. Now imagine the entire album being like this, instead of what we got. Just Dance by Bad Computer. Ah yes, the moment where Bad Computer channels his inner Ellis and creates a tight French electro tune. And sticking to the topic of Bad Computer, Heartbeat by Bad Computer, a more relaxed take on Bad Computer's style that I once considered to be my least favorite of his this year. And then that melody and the horn section got stuck in my head, and with time, the song grew on me despite the lack of body, which I originally criticized it for. And finally, Ghost by Will K and Drove. Another track that grew on me a lot, so much so that I ended up voting for it, with the relaxed percussion, the echoing horns giving a sense of atmosphere, and extremely catchy hook that got stuck in my head throughout the months. With that said, let's move on to number 1. For those of you who've watched my monthly rankings, you probably know what number 1 is, but I wanted to take a moment to address what I call the artist influx problem. Ever since 2021, Monstercat has been signing newer artists more frequently. And I get why, but it's gotten to the point where the quantity of artists matters more than the quality of the material they put out. I remember Stanley making a video on this subject in particular, and I agree with a lot of his points here. But this debut, on the other hand, completely negates that issue entirely. And given this artist's quality of work, plus the fact he was able to impress everyone right out of the gate, it wasn't gonna be anything else. Out of all the songs No Man have put out this year, Yesterday is my favorite by a significant margin. Something about this song really clicked for me when I first heard it, starting out with some 8-bit twinkles of synths with a chord progression that actually feels memorable. Then we get Clementine Douglas's vocals, which sound great how she's able to keep it a relaxed feeling to the song. And then the drops themselves are that sort of classic progressive house that deadmau5 pushed to the forefront back in 2008 with the analog synth leads and popping percussion, adding a nice groove to the song that doesn't overstay its welcome due to the added melodies. And what you have is a beautifully constructed song and my number 1 best song of 2022 on Monstercat. So yeah, that was Monstercat 2022. Sorry this was a little bit late, but regardless, I hope you enjoy. I'll be sure to make some more rankings in the coming months ahead, as well as a few surprise videos that might deviate from my usual Monstercat content. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon.